that.
That's what people say about the Space Force.
Ooh.
Right? That's cool. That is cool. I've been to a lot of museums, but the cool factor of this one is,
Yeah, it's off the charts.
well, you know, I'm kind of a strange person, so
No.
That's why we all
let's
get
see.
along so well.
You guys, I don't know whether I've never experienced anything like we've got a ghost or a spirit in here, but we do have a situation.
A story.
We have a story.
We'll tell the story.
I'd like to hear the story.
well, do tell. You are speaking to your people.
Okay. So, over here with our veterans, and the Liscombe family, Frank Liscombe that my generation knew was the pharmacist here, ran the drugstore downtown. He was like everybody's grandfather, you know, he mentored all of us. Well, this was his grandfather, and his name was Frank Liscombe. And he had been in the Civil War. This is him as a young man, actually during the war years. And then him in his later years. And I was out at the cemetery on a Memorial weekend, and I was raised east of town, and the Liscombe place was just right across the road.
Oh.
And I saw these people standing around his stone, so I went over and introduced myself, and because they're old neighbors, you know. And so this one gal starts telling me this story about when he died. She said he was, they were in a big house in Geneseo, and she didn't say where it was, but they were in this house in Geneseo, and she was just this little girl, and he was upstairs just trying to catch breath, you know, and so she could hear him breathing downstairs, you know, and it was frightening for a little girl. Well, all of a sudden, it went silent, and of course, she wasn't in the room, but she knows from the people who were in the room that he, let's see, how's it go? He stopped breathing, but then he sat up in bed and he went, "Charge!" She heard him scream the charge. "Charge!" Put his arm out like a sword.
Holding the saber.
And fell back dead.
Oh, wow.
I checked his war record, and he was Reed could tell you about he was at Shiloh, he was at Chancellorsville, he was at the Wilderness. He was at all the bloody fights, and he charged so many times into death that he really did charge into death when he died. It's just the coolest story.
Yeah, that is.
We found out later it was this house.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
He died
'Cause
upstairs in
this
this
is-
house.
Wow.
The doctor's home, and there's not a hospital here.
Well, this wasn't the doctor's house then. This was his daughter's house.
Oh.
He was living with her in his last days.
I see.
Yeah.
That's kind of a coincidence, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Isn't it? Well, I really don't believe a lot in coincidence. I think a lot of things are tied together, and we just don't see how.
Yeah.
Can't see the whole picture. Have you noticed any kind of activity here?
No, not really. But that's what I wondered if anyone that's, you know, I'm not.
Sensitive?
Yeah, I'm not sensitive. That's good. I'm not sensitive, other than I've had experiences, but of maybe a different kind, specific experiences. But no, you know the creepiest thing in this place are the ventriloquist dolls late at night when you're in here alone.
I don't doubt that dolls
For
and
sure.
clowns are creepy. I don't like them.
Creepy during the day.
They're creepy during the day.
You
I don't
gotta
know
see-
what they're like at
you,
night.
you know what's fun is to have a like a 8-10-year-old kid, and there was one in here one time, and he'd look at those guys, and that was before we had the divider up in the middle of the room, and he'd look at those guys, and he'd run in. His mother was in here looking at this thing. He'd run in here and he'd kind of hide behind her. Pretty soon he'd kind of creep back out and, you know, try to get over there close to him, and then he'd run back in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kids are funny. Yeah.
So, who do you think provided all these kind of technical diagrams and stuff to?
That's that John Dean, John W. Dean.
He came up with a lot of cool stuff.
He was a, yeah, he was a teacher, a mechanical arts teacher in Nickerson and Hutchinson both, I believe, at different times. But so he had that
Drafting
He had
experience.
that drafting experience, and
looks
so
very professional.
Yeah, because it looks great. I was just wondering, did Doc interview somebody and then he spoke to John Dean and he drew it?
no. Well, actually, it was John Dean was directly either interviewing people. Some of these I think he took from. See, this is from a photograph by Adamski, so he noted where he got the information. So he was just he see, okay, this thing is a little delicate, and you can find this you can find this online, where not the book itself, but I mean
PDF.
yeah, and
We
so
find some of our best stuff like that.
it's real delicate in the binding, but okay, there's languages from
And that's
different
by John
planets. There's that spaceship's welcome thing. He describes that. The different information that he collected. This is an encyclopedia of the culture, the alien culture of the time. And so we don't know what happened to all his stuff. We don't have it all because we don't have that. We don't have that. But Wichita State has got a little bit of his stuff, and it's mostly text. I contacted the guy who donated it. He said, "Oh, I found it at a estate sale." He said there was all kinds of paranormal stuff and all kinds of stuff. But there's that photograph. And that story about him talking with Buck Nelson is in this book.
See if we can find a copy of that someplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is this is a PhD in the culture of the time. You know, it's just an amazing piece.
Oh yeah, we'll have to. If we can find a digital copy, that'd be great.
Yeah, because last time I looked, if you could find a print copy, they were $100.
Snapshot cover there.
Wonder what it would cost to have one reprinted. Since they have print on
See-
demand stuff on them.
I should have pointed this out
Good source.
below the title. Spaceman urged the author to compile this book, supplied much of the information, and approved the work. So he had contact,
Spaceman approved.
but he never, as far as I know, he didn't ever go into space like some of these other guys did. But he had contact with this.
And what I find interesting from a cultural standpoint, I am a big sci-fi reader. and the sci-fi from the time. This is the language that they used when they were talking in their books about fiction. They were spacemen or
Spacemen, Space Brothers, yeah.
yeah.
There's, I don't know if you saw, there's John Dean with Buck Nelson over there on the wall.
Yeah, back
you know,
then, all the aliens were all from somewhere within our solar system, and
They
they all
look-
look pretty close.
well,
to
see,
human.
that's, and he, that space, what is it, spacecraft welcome? Or, anyway, they had those, posted in the back windows of their cars, because they believed there were, I don't know, 8 or 10 people from Venus living in Hutchinson at the time. And there was a flying saucer club out of Hutchinson, and they were posting these things in their car. They took them down because they found out that not all of the contacts were friendly. And once they realized that they didn't know how to discern between the friendly and the unfriendly, they quit doing that.
You know, that's surprisingly human-like.
Yeah, isn't it?
And,
Good ones and bad ones.
And so-
you don't say.
Can't tell by look
and so the
always.
ones that they first came into contact with were human in appearance, but then again, were they just presenting a human
I mean, if they got that
appearance?
level of technology, you imagine the cloaking technology
Right.
or what have you.
Right.
Part of the psychology
whatever,
of it
they
is we can only comprehend so much. Like if they're really wildly different from anything we can imagine, we might just see them as our brain will
And
just place over. Okay, that's a
Technology
clown.
sufficiently
Or something
advanced
like
could be
that, just
mistaken
something
for magic.
colors
So
and
Yeah.
strange shapes and